Hello, I am Miguel Flores, and I'll be presenting Musical Persuasion, an analysis on the usage of music to stimulate the fighting of the Civil War. First, I will begin with an introduction to my topic. Then I will move on to my first point, which is the usage of music for motivation purposes. And then my second point, usage of music for compelling advertisement. And my third point, the usage of music to increase awareness of political issues and problems brought by the Civil War. And I will finalize with a conclusion. Introduction. Music is known for being an excellent outlet of expression for artists that often write songs inspired by real life experiences. Also, music has the power to make people feel specific emotions and intensify them, which can cause a call to action effect that could encourage the audience to take specific actions. And this made me wonder, what was the impact of music released during the Civil War on the audience? Which brought me to the question, did music released during the Civil War stimulate the fighting of the war? And my thesis for this project is, music released during the Civil War stimulated the fighting of the Civil War by using it for motivation purposes, to do compelling advertisement, and express political issues at the moment and problems brought by the Civil War. Let's start with a bit of context. So, the Civil War of the United States happened from 1861 to 1865, and it was an issue that primarily started due to a disagreement on the institution of slavery between the Union, also known as the Northern States, and the Confederacy, also known as the Southern States. The Union was anti slavery, and the Confederacy was pro slavery. Now, let's go to the first point, which is the usage of music for motivation purposes. Songwriters would motivate people with their songs via increasing patriotism or the love for people's motherland. Also, by providing a sense of hope, by increasing that desire for having a better place to live. Of course, this place would look different depending on which side of the two parties we're talking about, the Confederacy or the Union. And also by alluding religious approval or spreading the idea that God was on their side of the war. One of the songs that provided motivation during the Civil War was Battle Cry of Freedom by George Root. This song was released in 1862, and it really was meant to spread pride among the Union. Let's give the chorus a listen. The chorus of this song calls people to celebrate the flag of the Union, which is a symbol of what the Union represents, not just as a territory, but also the causes they stand for, which in this case is anti-slavery. Also, the word rally stresses the convening of people to unite for the same reason and together be proud and support their causes. This song motivates the fighting of the war by making people want to love their land more and also therefore want to defend it and wanting to turn it into what they want it to be, increasing the hope of having a perfect land. And for the Union, that would be a place without slavery. On the other hand, the song Battle Hymn of the Republic by Julia Ward uses a different approach. Let's give it a quick listen.
You and me, as he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free, while God is marching on.
This is a song for the Union, and the writer is taking a religious approach. She knew that during this time, Christianity was very influential for Americans' life, and a lot of Christians aim to follow Jesus' example. And as the writer mentions, he's known for making the sacrifice of dying to make men holy. And so now she is encouraging American men to follow his example by joining the American forces and fight for the freedom of the slaves in the South. Another song that provides motivation using the same religious approach is the Confederate song God Will Defend the Right by a unanimous Lady of Richmond. The song says, Sons of the South rise, rise in your matchless might. Your war cry echo in the skies. God will defend the right. The lyrics of this song are alluding that God is on the south side when it comes to fighting the war. The lyrics of this song is hinting the audience that they should have a, a positive outcome for the South because God is supporting them. But also, I think it's important to ask why using a religious approach? And using a religious approach works because God is known for being an entity of justice, right? So if they when people should feel more motivated to take such action if they know or have the belief that they are doing the right thing. And this is why a religious approach would work to provide motivation to for Americans to fight the Civil War. And in this case, specifically for the South to want to fight the Civil War. Now let's move to the second point, which is the usage of music for compelling advertisement. Compelling music during the Civil War had compelling advertisement and it promoted and advertised values and ideologies for both the Union and the Confederacy. And this would allow people to be aware of what each side stands for. And also these songs would some songs would promote even political figures such as candidates for the presidency, even possibly increase the recruitment of soldiers. One of the songs with compelling advertisement is The Rally Cry of Freedom by James Magee. Originally, this song was The Battle Cry of Freedom by George Root. However, James took the melody of the original song and turned it into a song to promote the candidacy of Abraham Lincoln for his re-election in 1864. One of the lines in the original song said, "No man shall be a slave," shouting the battle cry of freedom. And James Magee replaced that line with, "He will lead us safely through, till the land shall rejoice." And here, Magee is referring to Abraham Lincoln as the one that will or has the ability to lead the nation safely out of the Civil War. We have to keep in mind that during this time, a lot of people wanted peace. By this time, the war had already been going on for 4 years. So people already wanted peace. Some people were tired of all the wars and the deaths of the war and all the consequences of the war. So Magee is using an emotional approach so that people could support Abraham Lincoln, and that way they would be also supporting the fighting of the Civil War because Abraham Lincoln was forward of the fighting of the Civil War. So his people voting for him and him getting reelected would be a way of supporting the fighting of the Civil War. Another song with compelling advertisement that could have potentially simulated the fighting of the Civil War by recruiting new soldiers is the Confederate song "The Bonnie Blue Flag" by Harry McCarty. One of the lines of the song says, "We are a band of brothers and native to the soil, fighting for the property we gained by honest toil." Besides this being a very emotional line that could have potentially made somebody think I'm going to join and help this band of brothers fight for what appears to be by the song a good cause. I believe this song is actually appealing to Irish immigrants. This song uses a melody of a previously released song a few years prior called "The Irish Hunting Car," and I'm going to play them side by side to compare them. Immigrants are more likely to go to a place where they feel welcomed, or where they feel that not everything is as strange. So, by the Confederacy releasing a song with an Irish melody, they could have felt more welcomed by the South, and that could have encouraged them to go and join the Confederacy forces. Although the majority of, although it's known that the majority of Irish immigrants joined the Union forces. And now let's move to my last point, which is the usage of music to increase awareness of political issues and problems brought by the Civil War. Some of the political issues that songs released during the Civil War talk about are slavery and tyranny, and some of the problems brought by the Civil War that songs talk about are death and the emotional toll on soldiers and their family members due to the war and the draft. One of the songs that talks about a political issue is God Will Offend the Right by Lady of Richmond. And one line of the song says, "Let haughty tyrants know, our sunny land shall be, in spite of every foe, home of the brave and free." And the key word of this song is tyrant. And this word is significant because it gives insight into how the Confederacy felt in regards to how the Union was treating them. The word tyrant was used in the Declaration of Independence to describe how the King of England was treating the colonies. So this is saying that the Confederacy felt oppressed by the Union. And then the another song, "Maryland, My Maryland" by James Ryder Randall, also uses another keyword to refer to the Union, and they call them vandals. And this word is also significant because it is referring to the Union damaging the South's property. And how is this possible? We have to remember that the Civil War was all about slavery, and if the Union was to win the Civil War, which it did, thank God, that means that the slaves would not be anymore in the South, and the whole economic industry of the South was agriculture, and it was run by the slaves. And also, this song talks about one of the consequences of the Civil War, which was death. It says, "Remember Carol's sacred trust. Remember Howard's warlike trust, and all thy slumberers with the just. Maryland, my Maryland." And this is referring to death. It's referring to all the people that were killed as a result of the Civil War. And another song that that touches a similar point is "Tending the Old Campground" by Walter Kittredge. Some of the lines of the song say, "We are tired of the war on the old campground. Give us a song to cheer. Many are the hearts that are weary tonight, wishing for the war to cease." These elements contribute to potentially contribute to the fighting of the Civil War, because it shows and it talks about people being tired of the war, of people being tired of the political issues and the problems brought by the Civil War, that they wanted all to get to an end. This takes me to my conclusion, which is music released during the Civil War did simulate the fighting of the Civil War, by using music as a tool to motivate people to fight, by using complete advertisement in songs for to encourage people to vote for somebody that would contribute to the ending of the war, and also by encouraging the recruiting of soldiers to fight, and also by expressing political issues and problems brought by the Civil War that people were just over with. So this worked as fuel for them to want it to end. And the only way that these problems could be solved is by ending the war, by having a resolution. And all the previous elements together worked as a pushing system for both sides, the Union and the Confederacy, to want to finalize the war and have a resolution. Thank you. And these are my sources.